In the spring of 2025, we saw the stage being set for a major constitutional showdown, and at stake, billions of dollars in trade and a really fundamental question about who holds the economic power in the U.S. Is it the president, or is it the checks and balances of the whole system?
And this was the defiant response from the White House, literally moments after a court handed down a huge legal blow to their big economic policy. I mean, that statement, it just gets right to the heart of the whole conflict. So how did a fight over trade policy blow up into a full-blown constitutional crisis? Let's get into it.
Okay, so this entire story really begins with a single, incredibly bold executive action, one that was designed to completely reshape American trade policy, pretty much overnight. So back in April, the administration decided to sidestep Congress and just unilaterally impose these steep new tariffs. And we're not talking about small, targeted duties here. Oh no, these were massive, sweeping levies on goods from just about everywhere, including some of America's closest trading partners. Now you're probably thinking, hang on a second, doesn't the Constitution give the power to set taxes and tariffs to Congress? And you'd be absolutely right. So what on earth was the legal justification for the administration to go it alone? Well, the answer is a law from back in 1977 called the International Emergency Economic Powers Act, or IEEPA. Now, it was originally created to give presidents a tool to go after, rogue nations or terrorist groups. But its use has kind of evolved over the years, making it this super powerful and, pretty controversial law that gives the president extraordinary economic powers, as long as a national emergency has been declared. So here's the playbook they used. It was a simple 1, 2, 3 punch. First, declare a national emergency. They cited the U.S. trade deficit as an unusual and extraordinary threat. Second, invoke the powers of IEEPA. And third, bam, impose the tariffs. Congress was effectively cut right out of the loop. Now, when you make a move that big and that dramatic, you've got to expect some pushback. And it really didn't take long for this whole fight to move from the White House to the courthouse. The opposition came from two main camps. On one side, you had a whole group of state attorneys general who sued, arguing that these tariffs were causing real economic pain for their people and local economies. And then on the other side, you had American companies filing their own lawsuits, arguing that these duties were basically just a direct and illegal tax on their businesses. And they did not hold back. The Oregon Attorney General Dan Rayfield, one of the main plaintiffs, put it really bluntly. He called the president's actions unlawful, reckless, and economically devastating. That wording alone just shows you the intensity of this legal battle. So, with the battle lines clearly drawn, all eyes turned to the judges. The stage was set for a huge ruling on the very limits of presidential power. And on May 28th, the verdict landed. A 3-judge panel on the U.S. Court of International Trade, these are the folks who specialize in these kinds of complex cases, they issued a decision that sent absolute shockwaves through Washington. The court did not mince words at all. In their decision, they stated flat out that the president's actions went way beyond any power that IEPA gave him. I mean, this was a complete and total rejection of the administration's entire legal argument. So let's just break down the court's 3 main points. Number 1, the tariffs were straight up unlawful. 2, the IEPA law was never meant to be used for universal, worldwide tariffs like these. And 3, they ordered a permanent stop to the tariffs. Period. So what was the thinking behind this? Well, the judges looked at the administration's stated reasons, like using tariffs to fight drug trafficking, and they just couldn't see the connection. They were basically asking, how does taxing legal goods coming in from Canada stop illegal drugs from crossing the border? And in the end, the court said that link just isn't there. But look, a lower court ruling, no matter how decisive it seems, is almost never the end of the story in a fight this big. This verdict just kicked off the next round of predictable moves. The very first reaction came from the financial markets. The second the ruling was announced, Dow futures jumped 500 points. That was a crystal clear signal that investors saw this as a huge win for economic stability. The second reaction, not surprisingly, came from the White House. Within just a few hours, the administration had officially appealed the decision, making it very clear they were going to fight this all the way up the judicial ladder. So what does that ladder even look like? Well, the case moves from this special trade court up to the U.S. Court of Appeals. And the final stop, if it even gets that far, would be the United States Supreme Court. They could have the final say on all of this. And that long road ahead is exactly why you have experts like Jack Slagle saying that while this is a significant setback for the administration,
the conflict is all far from over. This one ruling doesn't magically end the trade disputes or settle these deep legal questions. And that leaves us with the million-dollar question, right? This whole legal battle goes so much deeper than just tariffs and trade. It's really a fundamental test of the separation of powers. Where exactly does a president's emergency authority end, and where does Congress's constitutional power begin? The final answer to that question is still being written.